present and also impossible to find Mr. Greg Ayres.
Impossible to schedule Greg Ayres. Sorry about that.
All right. So, it's been a while since we got the chance to sit down and have a good chat. How have you been?
Oh, doing good. It's been a really busy year. As well as spending most weekends of my life at a convention, I also staff several conventions. And, it used to just be I'd be in charge of the rave. And, now I do things like publications and booking bands. And so I just, the summer is my con season. Well, the end of the summer, at the beginning of the fall, I help run a convention on Galveston Island where I live called Ohayocon. Yeah. And I book any bands that are not handled through our J-Rock promoter. So this year we had a Nerdcore collective with my friend Whitey Cracker and the Super Villains from South Bend, Indiana, the Midwest kids, really cool guys. So we had that. We had the rave with, a bazillion people. But because I had musical guests, I was also running people around and picking people up at the airport. And then I also do the program design for that show. So, I'm just out of that, and I'm catch my breath, and now I'm back at Ohayocon. Now I'm back at SegoyCon. So I'm saying Ohayocon. I'm already thinking about the next big show. But, yeah, but just busy. I like to stay busy. So, yeah, I get my wish, I guess, because I'm very busy right now.
And now the big show that everyone loves to talk about is Dead Man Wonderland. What was it like working on that, knowing that the first time fans ever even got to see the show was on the relaunch of Toonami, knowing how big important that was, getting a lot of fans into anime?
It's a really big deal being on Toonami. I knew the show was going to be different from most shows. The subject matter and everything about the show is very different, and it's the kind of show that I would want to watch. And looking at the character Ganta, that's obviously who I would probably play, because he starts off as a crying little kid. But I like that he doesn't stay there the whole show. Most of the little whiny kids I play stay little whiny kids. He's pretty tough, even on his first day in the joint. For a first day in a maximum security prison, he does okay for himself. But being on Toonami was a really, really big deal. And I said it in my panel the other day. I don't know what it is about having a show on television, but it just changes that audience a lot. And I've done shows that I think are, much deeper, and I think my performance has been better. But if it's something that's on TV, I had a kid come up to me and go, "Oh, that's way better than Chrono Crusade," and I was like, "They're totally not the same." And I don't think so. I think they're both just as good, So I don't know what it is about being on TV. I definitely was excited to be a part of the relaunch of Toonami. I mean, that's something that validates fan requests. Fans wanted Toonami back. Fans were the ones who just kept nailing the Twitter. We want bring back Toonami, bring back Toonami. So it's really cool to be a part of something that's, okay, here it is. We've heard your requests. Here you have it. And it was also cool because I would live tweet during the show. It was a big deal to have a show on TV, and instead of just sitting and people are watching, and just kind of gloat in it, I thought it was really cool to watch it with everybody. Yeah. And so we started this, Patrick Seitz and I would live tweet during the show, and it was a lot of fun. The only thing is I couldn't really, I was spending so much time on my iPad jumping back and forth between Facebook and my Twitter account that I really didn't get to enjoy the show. And so now I'm watching the uncut version of the show, and I am really enjoying it. There's just some amazing performances in it. Patrick Seitz is phenomenal as the Crow. Colleen Klinkenbeard just kills me as the warden, as Machina. And I mean, Monica's great in everything she's in, but that's such a wonderful role for Monica. So I'm really, really enjoying that show. I really hope there's going to be more to come. They posted the numbers of how many people were watching, and it was just staggering, watching on Jason DeMarco's Twitter. So yeah, I'm hoping there will be more, but if not, I was super excited to be a part of it. The funny thing is, I also had a bit part in Casher & Sins, which was also running. And so the last night of Dead Man Wonderland, I was in Dead Man Wonderland. I finished the show off. It was my episode on Casher & Sins, and then in Brotherhood, it was my death episode in Brotherhood, and I was like, what are the likelihood of this? It was the craziest thing ever. So somebody was like, wow, double header tonight. Triple header tonight. So, and it was cool to find out that Sam 7 was going to, take its place. So that's kind of cool too. But yeah, I could go on for days about Dead Man Wonderland. I love that show.
And now you're working. Currently, the newest show out there is the emotionally heavy EF series. What it was like working on that one?
Yep, that's a really cool show. Just because that's a style of show that, like, I know would never get a TV broadcast. I know won't have the zing of like a Cowboy Bebop or a Trigun, but what a like heavy duty emotional show. And like to me, that's a show that's like a reward, like a Easter egg for a fan. You know, it's just somebody that didn't know what that show was all about and they stumble on it. It's a phenomenal show. I love it, but like I think my character is probably the most vanilla I've played in a while. What makes that show so amazing are the two female counter leads and it's hard to talk about that show because my story, like the story my character's in, is only one of several stories, so it's really weird. So like in F A Tale of Melodies, I'm just almost barely in it. You know, I'm only like, you only hear me a few times because that's the other stories. Yeah. But I loved it, and really, really neat show. Really, really cool. Lucy, there's a scene, not to give anything away, there's a scene that Lucy has where she's trying to get a hold of somebody on the phone that is just amazing. It's intense. But yeah, really neat show. Real deep show, definitely. Yeah.
I guess I need to go check it out.
Oh, that's really good. Savage started the original It Gets Better project, but I brought it to anime conventions. Like, I felt really strongly about bringing it to anime conventions because in the last few years I've seen a lot of bullying at conventions. I've seen a place that's supposed to be a safe haven for everybody be suddenly a kind of a nitpicky, cliquey thing. I also know that, like, as a bullied kid myself, like, probably 90% of the people here have dealt with some sort of intimidation or bullying. And so I just think it's a really great idea. Everyone should have somewhere in their life that they can go that is safe. And like as sad as it is for me to really say that that's not home for some people, there should be at least one place that's safe. And it's really cool. I did the first It Gets Better panel at a convention called, it wasn't my first, but the first time I was a guest at Shutocon, we did a really, really long, intensive It Gets Better, and this year they announced their entire convention a safe space. Yep. We were talking about, safe spaces in school, and I never thought of how it might apply to a convention. We was just talking about an educational standpoint on bullying, and Stephanie and Joe were like, you know what, we ought to run with this and make our convention a safe space. And I know 2 or 3 other conventions that are now looking into doing the same thing. I think it's so cool. It's from a logistical standpoint, I wonder how it's going to work. Yeah. Like, it's a really, thinking that out, it's really tough. But I like it. I think if all of us were just left to live our lives the way we wanted, I think there would be a lot more peace in this world. But people don't. It's a natural instinct to, hey, why does that guy have purple hair? What is she wearing? She doesn't belong in that, and like, yesterday it was really interesting. Yesterday the panel got cut short due to some goof on the schedule. We only had an hour, and that panel ends up being a lot of people sharing once we opened the floor up, there was just a line all the way to the door of people that just wanted to share what they've been through and, just in some cases get things off their chest. Well, when it was time, somebody came in and like, it's time. And there's still a ton of kids that wanted to talk. So, and I have known to get upset when they cut panels short. And so I was like, let's just go outside. And so we had this big powwow outside, and everybody continued to talk to each other. And what was really cool is while I was talking to this one girl about an abuse situation, I could hear someone else like, when I came out to my mother, and like, so they were doing it all individually, off in little groups, and I was like, I love that idea. In fact, at Anime Detour next year, we're talking about doing a breakaway workshop where people pair off into small groups, because the idea is, when I leave tomorrow, I'll leave Kentucky tomorrow, and I won't be back until, maybe OMG Con in the summer. I won't be here when somebody's having a problem. But if they make friends with somebody they know in this circle, they have somebody close by that's their friend. And so I love that idea. And I love anything that at a con that brings people together and you make new friends. So I was really excited to see that kind of happen on accident last night. It worked really well. I told somebody, I was like, well, this cost me my dinner, but this was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed watching this. So it worked out really good. And I had 2 girls come up to me and say they'd only bought a one-day pass and they just came for this panel. They were just there for that panel. That it was a really moving panel. They watched it last year. So it's cool. It's been interesting to see different reactions to it over the country. Like when I first did it at Ohayocon, this horrible smear article written about me saying that I thought it was okay for straight kids to kill themselves, and I was like, the whole reason I brought this to anime conventions is because I think it's broader than just a gay and lesbian thing. You know, like I appreciate that that's where it starts, and I always credit that, and that's a very important thing to me. But so is bullying, and so is a lot. You know, everybody experiences some form of intimidation. So it's funny. I wrote in, you know, leave comments here, and so I wrote my own comments, which was funny because somebody was like, "Oh, burned." Greg Ayres commented like, so. But yeah, it's been nothing but positive so far. I mean, there's always naysayers to something like that. There are people that think it's too political, and it's really not about politics. Some people get a little cheesy when people start talking about their sexuality, but it's more about giving kids a place to just talk. And like, if somebody else's sexuality makes you uncomfortable, I can respect that, but I also think there needs to be a place where kids can talk to each other and just be who they want to be. Like that's, you know, I had a kid tell me that last night. Like, I can't express myself at home. And I'm like, go express yourself somewhere else and use home as your apartment, you know, go there to sleep, you know. So I'm really excited that it is doing it's picking up the steam that it is. So it's really cool.
Finishing up on the It Gets Better project, are there any new and upcoming projects you want to talk about, you know, coming in the coming year that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah, there's always something I'm working on that I love, but I can't talk about. I think I can finally talk about, I play a villain in Toriko that I'm really excited about. I play a character called Tommy Rod, who is funny because he looks like Nicki Minaj. First time I saw the character, I was like, that definitely does not look like a boy. And they're like, oh no, it's definitely a boy. He's this really weird pink-haired, I don't know why they thought of me, pink-haired, but it's like a pink bob. And he's got this like rosy red lipstick, and it's more like if the Joker and Nicki Minaj had a baby. That's what this character looks like. But he like his special power, he's swallowed the eggs of all of these insects, and he, so gross, barfs them up partially to his throat, hatches them, and then vomits these deadly bugs. So I spent a great deal of time making, you know, these awful noises, which is funny when you do it all day long because you just get grosser and grosser as the day goes on. That I'm really excited about Hakuoke. There's a lot of fans that are really excited about that. It was based on a PSP game, and I play a character named Hesuke Todo, who reminds me a lot of Son Goku and Sayuki, except he's got a cool ponytail on the top of his head. And my brother directed that, and I just started watching. It's not new, but I just finally got around to start watching Intrigue in the Bakamatsu, which is another one I did with my brother. Really enjoying that. And probably the thing I've been the most excited about and that's new is a project called Number 6. And I like, from the minute I heard about that project, I was really excited about the prospect of maybe, you know, I was like, oh, I hope I'm working for one of the 2 companies. You know, like, I hope one of these 2 companies will get this show. And somebody goes, well, it's already announced, Sentai Filmworks has it. So then I got really excited, but you don't even know if you're going to get allowed to audition for a show. You know, it just depends on what the director wants. And as it turns out, I didn't even audition. They called and said, hey, I've got this show. Are you comfortable walking into a lead role? And I was like, what show is it? You know, I was like, is it Number 6? You know, I've already seen it because they had been airing it on the Anime Network, so I'd seen the whole show, and it really helped knowing the show too. It's a really neat show. There are people that'll say it's a yaoi title. There are people that say it's a sci-fi title. It's just a really good story-driven show. And I like that I start off looking and sounding like every character I've ever played, and through a fluke or virus or whatnot, I end up with this sky white hair and these red marks and it's really cool looking character. So I don't usually get to play the, you know, cool looking, he's not a villain, he's actually a good guy, but and I went back and watched it. I was so excited to see the dub of it because I'd seen it subtitled 1.5 times. Like, I'd seen the whole thing and started watching it again. And it's just stellar performances, especially Lucy Christian, who's good in everything. But the guy playing Rat or Nezumi is a guy named Caleb that just and I'm gonna murder his last name, so I won't say it. Caleb, who I'd never heard in a lead role, and he's phenomenal. Really everybody in number 6 did a wonderful job. And Hillary plays, my love interest, which isn't the first time Hillary and I have played opposite each other. So we know our voices sound kind of strangely, weirdly good together. So, but it's a really neat project. And sadly, it's one of those new short shows. It's over. It like wraps in 10 episodes. So. But cool, I'm really excited to be a part of that. There's a few new projects. One specifically I'm about to bust to talk about, but that's this job, you can't talk about stuff for months after it was done. So, but that's it for right now. Go see those shows first. Hard time saying my fans. I think we're all fans of like stuff. So keep watching. There's a lot of really cool things that are going to happen in the next year. My involvement with conventions, I'm still very steadily involved. I'm now booking bands. By the great stroke of nature, stumbled into a really good friendship with the guy that started nerdcore hip hop. So I'm now friends with all these nerdcore performers. So I'm hoping to get that at more conventions, because I really like. The cool thing about the nerdcore guys is they rap about what all of us talk about, like video games, Star Wars, comic books. That's all they sing about. So, and I've got a few new anime projects that when I can finally talk about them, you'll know what they are, because I'll be screaming from a mountaintop about them. So, but yeah, and thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll see all of you at a convention somewhere.
Amazing year for me. Let's see. I'm now at the studio full time in Houston, directing. Loving that. Have a new girlfriend that I'm really crazy about. So she's actually here with me, but we're in the dealer's room, so she's off looking at stuff. So, yeah.
All right, now a show that you couldn't talk about at Ohayocon but made mention to was the Book of Bantora. It had finally come out. And you had made mention it's such a hard show because everybody's...
Yeah, death after death after death after death. But it is such a neat show, and the fan response has been really good. There are still a lot of people that haven't heard of it. Wow. There's still a lot of people that haven't heard about it, but the ones who have been really, really enjoying the show. So I like that. I'm really, it's a good show. I'm really proud of the cast, and it's a lot of heavy hitters. We've got a lot of heavy hitters from the studio in that show. So,
all right, cool. And now another show you just happen to work on that's drama heavy and kind of depressing at points is EF Tales of Memories. What was it like working on that show?
Well, that show, I love the story. It will break your heart. That show, we had to get out fast. I mean, really fast. And it had to be, you look at the storytelling and that story, you've got to do justice to that show. So I went with some of those veteran, heavy hitter actors that can just come in and nail something, both acting-wise, hitting flap-wise. Normally, I like to take chances and use some new people. This one, I had a very short time frame to get both shows done, and I was like, you know what? And it wasn't even so much the time element. It was, I can't risk this story to people that I'm going to have to coddle all the way through. I need people that are going to be able to come in, that know anime, that know their craft as a voice actor, and the results were just spectacular. I mean, in all honesty, proofing both shows, proofing the ADR before it went to mix, I cried 6 times on Tale of Memories and about 8 times on Tale of Melodies. I mean, the performances are some of the best some of those people have done. Really, really are wonderful. So,
guess I'm gonna have to pick that up.
Just get some handkerchiefs when you do.
All right, you're a big Doctor Who fan.
Oh, yeah.
And what? It's such a hit with the anime community. Why do you think? Is there a theory you think that it blends so easily for anime fans to pick up and just watch?
I don't know that it's necessarily anime fans. Anime fans are very accepting of a lot of other fandoms. You look around, there are a lot of things at anime conventions that have nothing to do with anime. The Dolphies, they're accepted. The steampunk really is an anime. Huge steampunk contingency. Ponies, My Little Ponies, and Homestuck, which is a webcomic and stuff. But anime fans have always been very accepting of other fandoms, which I love. I think really the appeal for Doctor Who is it's a guy that's kind of quirky, not like everyone else, which is the way most anime fans feel about themselves. Most people in fandom in general. And yet, he always stops the bad guys. Yeah. He always stops bullying.
True.
You don't get a bigger group of bullies than the Daleks.
True.
And yet he doesn't use violence. Nope. He outwits them. He uses humor and intelligence. And I think because so many anime fans are very smart and very clever, I think they just find a common bond with the Doctor. So, yeah, that's my theory at least, and I'm sticking to it.
Something fun you might want to watch is epic rap battle, Doctor Who versus Dr. Brown.
Like 9 people put it on my Facebook. I was like, okay, I've seen it. Yeah, it was very funny.
Okay, and now, as you mentioned, you are now working full-time down in Houston. What's it like now being able to say, I'm back where it's home?
Oh, it's wonderful. The staff, everyone there has been so warm, and the other directors there, everybody was like, welcome back. And in fact, my immediate boss, who called me into her office one day, I'm sorry, it's my boss's boss. She called me into her office one day and told me that they wanted to offer me, full time. And she said, and I need to add, it's about time. And so everybody's been very glad to have me back. I love it. I love working for that. I love working for that studio. The people are wonderful, and we've got a ton of stuff coming in that in all honesty, I'm going, how are we going to get all of this done? We've got a lot of stuff coming in, from what I understand. I can't say anything specific. I'm working on 3 shows right now. I've just finished 2, and I've started 1 that I can't talk about yet. But, they're exciting. They're a lot of fun.
Okay, and now the anime industry has been going in some unique directions. Whereas you as a veteran see it going? We have digital distribution, Blu-ray, still standard DVD, and then, you can still do, Netflix and all that, So that's at unique directions, and then now you've got different genres of different anime coming in, mixing in different genres. So whereas you as a veteran see that industry going?
I don't know. I just hope it continues to. No, to be serious, I think the digital distribution format is really good. Video on demand, the Anime Network has done incredibly well, and their stuff on video on demand is about the price of Netflix, and you can get per month, and you have access to this huge library of anime. It's incredible. So I always promote my friends at Anime Network. Of course, Netflix and things like that. That's all wonderful. I think it's a really exciting time to be an anime fan because there's so much going on in the way of getting the material out to the people. So
cool. And now we had talked at Ohayocon about Ohayocon 2013's roast coming up.
Yes, we have.
How are things going on that? Because I think you might want to mention who it is now.
Yeah, I can say now who it is. We're roasting Tiffany Grant, and I am so ready for this. I don't know that we have all the guests named yet, so I can't say who, but I'm just going to say I'm working on some material for this roast. And you've seen the other roast. You know how edgy the stuff I've done has been. That makes all of the other stuff look like I was being nice. I'm working on some stuff that is I'm very excited about where it's coming. I've tried a couple of the jokes out on my girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you really gonna say that?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." So I'm very excited.
Can't wait in 2 months. So also in 2013, the airship Isabella will make a visit to Ohio. What can you tell us about those talented folks for the fans that are going to be potentially able to see them?
Okay, if you get a chance to go down, now where are they going to be?
Angie, Ohio.
Angie, Ohio. If you get a chance to go and meet them, to stop by their table, to go to any of the panels or workshops they do, if you are at all interested in steampunk, go. They do so many panels and so much stuff. It's really incredible. They are some of the nicest, most down-to-earth people. They really are everything that I love about the steampunk movement. They really are. There's a lot of stuff earlier that I didn't like, and they really changed my mind. They really are the reason that I gave steampunk a second chance. So they are amazing artisans, and on top of that, just really good people. So yeah, the people of Ohio should be really excited.
All right, and now, is there any way for fans to keep up with you on the internet, like a Facebook group for you?
I've got a Facebook fan page. Unfortunately, my personal page is way past the friend limit, so I can't friend anybody there. But I do have a fan page that I keep up on very often. Mock Combat for Cosplay has its own fan page. I also have a website, www.christopherayres-va.com. And I keep that updated. I update with convention pictures, and a couple of times a year, Mock Combat for Cosplay's gallery updates. And I try to be very active so people can see what I'm doing.
And now, is there any shows that we didn't talk about that you are also allowed to talk about, which are probably limited to like one?
No, actually, I've done quite a bit that's already out. I did 2 very guy-heavy shows. Season 1 is out, and that's Hakuoki. I also did Intrigue in the Bakamatsu. Really fun if you like fan service. Magikoi O Samurai Girl. Yeah.
The name was a clue already.
Magikoi O Samurai Girl. Really interesting, fun show. That was one where because I had so many close friends in the principal roles, there were points when I couldn't even look at the actresses in the booth. Once that camera turns off, I will tell you a couple of things that will drop your jaw. But I don't know who will be watching that, so I'm going to keep it clean, more or less.
All right, and any final message for all your great fans out there?
Well, I mean, I won't talk to you. I'll talk to them. Thank you guys so much for watching everything. Because of my work with the studio and the number of shows that I have coming out, I'm probably going to have to do fewer and fewer conventions this year, just because I've got a lot of work to get done. But just keep watching, and every time I meet somebody who is not even necessarily a fan of mine, who's a fan of this industry, who talks about how much they love something that a friend of mine did, it just warms my heart so much. It's like I said, my girlfriend's an anime fan, and we met at a convention, doing an interview very similar to this. Don't worry, I'm not going to date him. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for the continued support. It really means the world to all of us in the industry. So thank you very much.
Mine, Miss Tiffany Grant. How you doing?
Hi there. Very good to see you. Doing well this morning.
All right. So it's what's been new with you since your last trip to Ohio? We were at Glass City Con, and how's it been for you since then?
Well, I've done an awful lot of conventions in Ohio, so I'm very comfortable here. I've gone to a lot of other conventions, and just happy to be back in Ohio, and especially in Ohio during the summer. The weather is gorgeous here.
Okay. Now you've got 2 new series to talk about that have really huge time gaps, 1931 and 2710. Yeah. Tell us about Night Raid 1931 and Cousin.
Quiescent. It's a completely made-up word that's never even referenced in the movie, so I don't even know what that means. Night Raid 1931 is sort of historical drama type series. That's actually a TV series, and obviously set in 1931, and I was the main villain in one of the first episodes, the first or the second episode. Anyway, so of course I love getting to play a villain, and that was very fun for me. And it's got a really cool kind of a period look to it. Now, Quiescent is actually a short film. It was only about 20 minutes long, and I wrote the ADR script for that. I was only actually in it a little bit, but it was released on the same disc with another short film called 5 Numbers that I play a really badass kind of seductress in that. So that was a very interesting project, and I hope that we get to do more of those short films. It's a little different.
Cool. And of course, you can't get too far away from Mecca. Mm-hmm. So what about Infinite Stratos?
Infinite Stratos. Yeah, I had a lot of involvement with that one. That was a 13-episode TV series, just recently came out on DVD and Blu-ray from Sentai Filmworks. And I did the ADR scripts for that one, which was grueling. There's a lot of dialogue in that show. But the mecha are pretty cool, and I do play one of the characters in that. It's a German mecha pilot. Okay, it's been done before, but yeah, you'd be amazed. No one else seems to be able to do a German accent, but it was really, really fun. The gist of it is it's in the very near future, and there are they're not exactly mecha, but they're more like kind of an exoskeleton kind of a thing that you put on and wield, as it were. And for some reason, only girls and women can operate these units until one day there's a young boy, and he accidentally finds one and discovers that he can operate it, and he ends up going to the Infinite Stratos Academy, which of course only has female students, and they're all over him. So it's kind of a harem mecha anime with action, sci-fi, comedy. So it was fun to work on.
It sounds like it. And now an odd one here. What about the book of Bantorora, where dead people turn into books?
Yeah, the Book of Bantora, I think that just came out this past week, or the first half of it did. I believe it's a 26-episode series. So we're finished recording it, and the first half of it just came out. I actually just went to a screening in Houston where they showed the first 4 episodes of it, and it's really cool. It's very, very exciting. And yes, so dead people, when they die, their essence, their memories, their thoughts, and everything are translated into these. They call them books, but it's really more like a big stone tablet. And there are these armed librarians that guard the books, because some people might want to get someone else's book to gain their knowledge. Maybe, I guess imagine like Stephen Hawking or someone, like some super genius dies, and then you could access all of their knowledge and insights and everything. So it's a really cool concept for a show, and I really like science fiction, so I think it's a really interesting show. So far, I've just seen those first 4 episodes, because the rest of it I haven't gotten a copy of yet, but looks really good. And I play a young boy in this. He's about 12 years old, and he's an armed librarian. Each one of them has kind of a skill, like a superpower. And I am a master swordsman, so you get to see me wielding a giant sword.
Cool. And now some Prisoners and Black Cats. Tell us about 5 Numbers.
Oh yeah, I started talking about that a little bit before. 5 Numbers. It's a short film. I think it must have been around kind of 6, 8, 10 years ago. There was sort of a spate of these short films that came out in Japan, but there wasn't really a venue to release them over here. I mean, you don't go to a movie theater and see a 20-minute movie, and it's like, how do people access that? So Sentai bought at least a couple of these. I don't know how many more may be coming up, but at least for sure Koisent and 5 Numbers, and decided to release them together. And there are a lot of extra features on there, behind the scenes stuff. But 5 Numbers is a really neat sci-fi show that is it's kind of like an episode of The Twilight Zone, really. It has that kind of a neat feel to it, with the really, really interesting twist at the end that you won't guess. And I really liked working on that. Oh, besides playing the cool seductress type character, I also played the cat. There's a cat, so I got to play the cat.
Okay. And another show is Plan Z. How is it like working at? Yeah.
Well, Plan Z has that. It's a CG show, which we haven't done before, and it's actually a feature film. And I'm not sure if that's either just about to come out or it's just been released. I haven't actually seen the finished film yet, but it's that almost real looking CG, that kind of Final Fantasy looking, and that was really interesting. I've never worked on anything like that. I've done live action and I've done anime, but it presented a little bit of an extra challenge, because it almost does look like a real face, right? It's a futuristic sci-fi, Armageddon is coming kind of a thing. And Plan Z, what that actually means, it looks like they misspelled planet, but what it actually is it's really more like, if you think of it as 2 words, like Plan Zeta or Plan Z. In other words, our butts are on fire, and this is it. Plan Z, Plan Zeta. Our last chance. If this doesn't work, the human race is toast. So that's what Plan Z, the title, actually refers to. I can explain that one, unlike Koisent. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, and then you have EF. You have EF coming out. So and it's getting a lot of great reviews. Tell us why you think it's such a great series for people to see.
There was 2 series of that. There was Tale of Melodies and Tale of Memories. and that's got kind of a weird, at least one of them. I haven't seen the whole thing, I'm sorry, so I'm doing a really bad job at reviewing this. My character in that was kind of disturbing, actually. I'm the mother of one of the main characters who's a teenage boy, and I just make some really, really inappropriate suggestions. But actually, a friend of mine who was watching it the other day said that he was enjoying it. So Jeremy Barber highly recommends this show.
Okay, and now you're here at ColossalCon. You're going to be partaking in some of the cool game shows that Grego is going to run. What have you ever had the opportunity to work with him, and how are you expecting how it's going to go?
Well, I'm actually the first person that Greg recruited to do a game show with him, Anime Match Game, back in 1999 at Ayres in Dallas. So I've done dozens and dozens of game shows with Grego over the years, and it's honestly my favorite part about doing conventions. I mean, apart from meeting the lovely fans, of course. But I mean, for me, as like doing a fun thing, I love doing Grego's game shows. In fact, I love it so much that when we got married, he was the host, the MC at our wedding reception, and he hosted it like it was a game show. It was really great. But anybody who gets a chance to see Grego's game shows at a convention, I highly recommend that you go. You will have fun. You can be a contestant and win fabulous cash and prizes.
Okay, is there any upcoming projects you can talk about this time that you want fans to know about?
Wow. I don't know. I guess I don't know that I can. I have been told that I am recording on something in about a week, but I don't even know what it is. I can also tell you that I don't know anything about the third Evangelion movie. It hasn't come out yet in Japan. I don't know when it is coming out. I don't know when and if I may be working on it. So that's a question that I get an awful lot, but I can't answer that because I seriously don't know. I am looking forward to, in August, attending NomCon in Ireland. So hello to all the Irish viewers, and looking forward to coming to see you.
Right. And is there any final message and a way that fans can follow you on the internet?
Sure. Okay. Wow. I feel really tragically old to say this. I don't really do social media. I'm sorry, it's not my thing. But I do have a website that it's been up and running for the last 15 years. I always have my convention schedule posted on that. You can email me through that. Email almost seems quaintly old-fashioned nowadays. But that's tiffanygrant.eva-r.com, or just Google me. Sounds a little rude, but, you know, in the privacy of your own home, you can Google me. You can look it up. I'm there. Come and see me at a con.
Ohayocon, it's 2011, and right now I have Ricky and Tavisha with me, and we've interviewed you guys so many times, and it's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
I know you're sick,
It's great to see
and
you.
I'm sorry, but he's a trooper, yeah. Now, it's been a while since we've spoke last. What have you been up to this past year?
Well, so far coming to the con, but really, let's see, we've been mostly working on our webcomic that's called @TaviCat, and it's basically about the adventures of our two cats and us, based on true stories. It's been a lot of fun. We actually have been doing it for about 2 years now. So, and that's twice a week.
Yep.
We have it every Tuesday and Thursdays at www.tavicat.com. So if you want to look that up sometime, and especially if you're a cat lover, and just look it up and enjoy.
All right. Now, are you enjoying Ohayocon and your return trip to Ohio?
Oh yes, we always love Ohayocon, and this year it's snowing, and since we don't get to see that much snow over in California, it's really fun to see the wonderful winter weather here.
Yeah. Oh, it's. Yes, everything is good here. I like Ohio. Ohio is good. I like the snow and the white stuff too. Falling from the sky.
Now, is Ohayocon a good convention to start the year off with?
I think so. I really do. Let's see. You know, January is still pretty open. You know, it's the beginning of the year, and it's kind of fun to just start the year off meeting more fans and seeing the old ones as well, and just it's it's a lot of fun to enter into a year with a convention, I think.
And this con keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I love the setup this year. It's a lot bigger. It's almost, I was telling Ricky, if you ever been to San Diego Comic-Con, this is like a cute little cheapy version of San Diego Comic-Con. I love it. It's just neatly packaged right here, all in one.
The dealer's room is pretty huge and it's behind us, so it's kind of cool to be able to look over the balcony here. And yeah. Now, what projects do you both look forward to working on early this year?
Well, we're working on a Peter Pan book for slave labor graphics.
Okay.
We're working on the first issue of that one right now. So yeah, that's the main thing right there. Should be out in time for San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay.
And that's called Peter Pan and the Ghosts of Neverland. It takes 100 years. It takes place 100 years after the original book, and everybody's dead. So.
Okay.
And it's going to still be
That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good.
Oh dear. Edit.
Edit. All right. Anything that you want to add, Tabby?
I'm just, wanting to, I guess, just wish everybody, good luck this year. It's Year of the Rabbit, so it should be a very lucky year, I hope.
Now, I have a little personal experience with this one. This one mainly directed towards you. Do either Facebook or Facebook games get put in front of some of your deadlines?
I really try to monitor myself because, quite frankly, I am a game fanatic when it comes to, all the little... I like to try out the new ones at least once. And so I got to really make sure that I don't collect too many of these games to bog me down at all. And I really do try to make it so that I only spend maybe no more than a cumulative hour on all of them. Otherwise, I am doomed. And I must confess that we have a friend who works at Blizzard who loves to give us a free year worth game of WoW. And so Ricky and I also have to monitor ourselves carefully on how much we play WoW. So yes, we do love playing games.
I do too. I can't deny it. So now, are there any other upcoming projects that you guys can talk about for the rest of this year?
Let's see. I guess just mainly the Peter Pan one. So
Okay.
I think we already covered Peter Pan, the Ghosts of Neverland. And I'm really excited about this, actually, because we're very big fans of Peter Pan's world and J.M. Barrie. And, I really hope that we can hopefully contribute something to this world that he's created in a very respectful manner. And I know that Dan was actually even considering to give some contribution to the hospital. Street Hospital, because that was in tradition of what J.M. Barrie had always wished, for the Peter Pan stories to have some proceeds go to the hospital.
Well, that's really, really neat. Anything else that you want to add, Ricky?
I finished writing a novel last year, or actually earlier this month. Was the second draft was finished, and it's called Hither to a Lion. So I'm shopping that around right now, looking for a publisher. So hopefully I can find somebody with that, but we'll see.
Well, thank you guys. It's been a great start of the con so far. I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Because it's, no fun to be at a con and you're sick. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you later.
Great seeing you.
Thanks.
And today I'm here with Jamie McGonigal, who's a voice actor, VA, theater production, and also a Charity AIDS Foundation member. So, what has been new with you since we last saw you at Anime Central?
Not much.
How much? Okay.
We're going to make this a quick interview. I'm just kidding. No, there's been plenty that's new with me. Let's see. I'm still doing a lot of work in New York. Since I last spoke with you, the people of California had a interesting vote where they approved Proposition 8, where they took marriage equality away from 30,000 Californians. So that's kind of inspired a whole lot of people, including myself, to actually start doing some real work on the ground all over the U.S. in the hopes of getting marriage equality for everybody.
That's a very good, noble cause. How about a recap of your projects over from 2009 since we last saw you?
From 2009, let's see. I got cast as Barry in Pokemon, which has been a recurring role the course of this year. Who's Ash's main rival this season, and that's been an absolute blast. He is so much fun to play. Let's see, done some work on Chaotic for 4Kids, playing Vlar, and a character. I don't think he's out yet. I don't think he's actually come out yet on the series, but he shall soon, I believe. I did work on Big Wind-Up for Funimation, as well as playing L.A. in El Cazador de la Bruja, also at Funimation, and just random things here and there in the city. And One Piece, I did a little one episode of One Piece down in Texas. I think maybe making me the only voice actor that did both the 4Kids one and the Funimation one, but it's been very, very, very fun.
Okay, and you've had some guest star roles in Pokemon. Is there any things you want to talk about that show that were really fun to do? I mean, you said you were Ash's rival.
Yep.
So, I mean, what was that characteristic? You hear your friend in the voice booth, and you're like, I have to be mean to them. What do I do? So what's that style? Like, how do you get in character for that? Being mean to your best, like, what are your best friends?
He's a rival, but he's not a jerk. He's like there's the character Paul, who's definitely, not a cool guy. But Barry is so fun. He has so much energy, and he's goofy. He's goofy, and he's not as talented and great as he thinks he is. He's very talented. He's actually a very good trainer, but he's not quite as good as he assumes to be. So we don't have a lot of like meanness. It's more like goofy jokiness, poking fun at, and the way he does it is definitely more of a jovial, fun way of poking fun at people as opposed to just being a jerk. So that's actually been he's just been so much fun. I absolutely love Barry.
All right, cool. And you mentioned that you were in Funimation's release of Big Wind-Up, which is, I believe, is about baseball in Japan and fun things about in that nature. So what are your thoughts on the series? Like, what was probably one of your more fun things to do?
Well, I play Kano, who is on the rival team. Me and rivals. Awkward. Because he's a rival on the rival team. He was in, I think, maybe 5 or 6 episodes, and then he comes back for, I think, the last episode. The show itself is incredibly detailed as far as the actual baseball statistics, which I can't I'm really not good with sports. So I'd have Chris Bevins, the director, explaining exactly what these things meant when I was like, well, you throw it into the box, and this part of the box is the thingy-thing, and I'm like, okay. So I was trying to follow along, and but he was even telling me, knowing something about baseball, just how detailed and how amazing the show actually is, as far as sports fans really liking it. Because I mean, how many sport fans / anime fans do you know? I don't know. You never really know. But I've actually turned a few sport fan friends onto it that were not anime fans in particular, and they've loved it. They've people who love baseball, and they've totally enjoyed it. I think it's really beautifully done. The storyline is great. Chris did a phenomenal job directing it, and I had a blast doing it. I mean, it was a fun character, and the show, I think, is a beautifully done show.
Now you do a lot of AIDS research and work for the United Nations. And last year you had to cancel this convention due to that as a noble cause. So what was it feel like to get the outstanding award achievement for your humanitarian aid?
Well, you just kind of took everything I do and kind of went, bleh. That's where it is. It's okay. I forgive you. It's totally fine. The things I do work in, I do work for several different AIDS charities, as well as different gay charities, LGBT charities in the country. I did some work for the UN, working for their Hero campaign in Africa for 2 months in 2007. So that's some of what I've done. Now, the thing that I received an award for from the New England Theater Conference was basically for my work that it combines theater and charitable work. And it's great. NETC, the organization, is a great organization that they gave me my first professional jobs when I was 19, right out of college. And they have these auditions in New England, and it's just a wonderful organization. So to have that organization ask me back to honor me in that way was extraordinarily touching, and the people that were there, where I had my college professors there, and people that I've worked for over the years there, and the other people I was honored with. I was honored with Rick Kay, who's a phenomenal filmmaker, Gregory Jabara, who's a Broadway actor, Joanna Gleason, amazing Broadway actress, and Stephen Schwartz, who wrote Wicked and Pippin and Godspell. Just the fact that I could have been lumped in with any of those people, even individually, was astounding to me. But I was incredibly honored that they chose me to give an award to. It's kind of incredible.
So tell us about your site, about talkaboutaquality.org.
Absolutely, yeah. Talkaboutaquality.org was born after Prop 8 because I found I'd get on Facebook and I'd just start writing and writing and writing, and I found, wow, people are responding to what I'm writing. And a friend of mine, Tom, we were talking at one point about maybe having a gay secession for a day, like where all the gay people in the country don't buy anything, don't go to work, just take a day off. And so I started a Facebook group, and within the matter of about a month, we had about 5,000 members to it. So I was like, maybe we should do something with this. And then we started having second thoughts about the gay secession thing, thinking, in this economy, maybe it's not the best idea. So we still had these 5,000 people, and we're like, what do we do with it? So I just continued writing, and so it started out like that. And then I started the website, talkaboutaquality.org, and that basically the point of that is to get people actually having the discussion, get people coming out, get people saying to their families and friends, not only do I want you to support me and who I am, but I want you to take an extra step and go to work and bring up marriage equality. Go to your offices, go to your gyms, go to wherever you go on a regular basis and say to your friends, how do you feel about marriage equality? Why don't you think that's one part of the population should have marriage and another population shouldn't? So this is basically why it exists. That's why I started it. But the ultimate goal is to get people to actually really think out loud about it, and to get change to actually occur in this country. It's not really happening as quickly as a lot of us would like to see it happen. And the quicker it can happen, the sooner we have a stop to 11-year-olds coming home from school and hanging themselves because they've been bullied and called gay left and right. Because this has happened. This happened in Massachusetts twice this year, or Massachusetts once, and then I want to say Ohio or somewhere another time this year, where a kid was bullied so hard that he thought, okay, there's nothing worse I could be than gay, and they went home and killed themselves. And to change that mindset, it takes major change socially, and to change things socially, we have to do it individually. So going up to each individual person and having a conversation about the fact that I'm gay, the fact that these laws that are being passed affect me and they hurt me, and they're making it so people can't get married, making it so that federally, even if every state in the country tomorrow said, okay, gay marriage done, there would still be 1,300 different rights that we don't have via the federal government. Meaning that I can want to marry someone from Argentina, and they'd be shipped back to Argentina because that's a federal right that straight people have that gay people don't.
Yeah,
so
they get exported.
Yeah.
You're choosing to be a gay marriage.
Right, not choosing, but careful with your words. No, okay.
It's just that forces that issue. So
yeah. So and there's 1,299 other rights besides that. So yeah.
Is there any upcoming roles or projects that you want to talk about, kind of get a message out, or a message to anime fans, and or anything about the talkabout.org movement?
Talkaboutaquality.org is I'm trying to branch out and trying to go to colleges, and I have a few friends that I'm working with in the Broadway community that are reaching out and trying to go speak at colleges, to the LGBT organizations, the Straight Gay Alliances. So if anyone has a college out there that you'd like me or one of my friends from New York to come speak at about equality, just contact me at talkaboutaquality@gmail.com. Voice roles, things like that. Really, I'm only working on Pokemon right now. I just finished my work at 4Kids with Chaotic. I may have other things. Actually, I do have a few things coming up that I can't really talk about yet. So we'll see.
Those fun things like contracts.
Those little contracts.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for coming on by today. Thank you for coming to Ohayocon, and I hope to see you around some more.
It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you, Jamie.
All right.
I have to deal with the timing of the roasters. I have to say, okay, who do I put on first? Who do I put on last? And honestly, you know, I don't want to say some people are more funny than others, but some people, like, we have the video, which is very over the top, and some people will tell a story or two, and some people have pictures, or some people just rip on all the roasters. So it's a matter of balancing all those different things out and what's going to be good at what time, and then, you know, making sure that we give the time limit for, like Tiffany would have 10 minutes and Dave would have 10 minutes because they've known Matt so long, but most roasters get 5, and I didn't really have to enforce that last night because we had the structure of the PowerPoint. It ended 119 minutes after I started it. It was supposed to be a 2-hour block, and in 119 minutes, just dead on.
You're good.
Dead on. So I was very happy about that. Unfortunately, we started 20 minutes late. So.
But it was worth it. It was an awesome roast last night.
You.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I started working on PowerPoint, I think it was like last year or something, because I needed it for school. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like this. And so, you know, I basically do my animation, spoken word, etc. thing through it. And when I told them, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation, they were like, really? Like, no, it's not like the ones in school, because, you know, like those use, you know, like 10 to 20 frames an hour, 10 to 20 slides. I used, God, what was it? I used 192 frames in effectively 15 minutes of working with it.
There was some good stuff in there.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to do something different, and that was fun. So we're going to just continue to. I don't know what next year will be like, but it'll be awesome. I'm gonna bring my computer back. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna have pictures. Oh.
It'll be fun. You guys should be there next year. That's all I'm gonna say.
You should. If you're not there,
you're missing out.
If you're not there, you don't know how sad and unhappy you're gonna be.
And how much you're gonna laugh your ass off if you're there.
Ohayocon 2010.
All right, now, what are some of your favorite stories of Mr. Greenfield?
You know, it's interesting because my favorite stories were all the stories people were telling last night. The one, because I was under a pretty rigid time structure myself, the one story I would have told if I would have had time is Matt, years ago, he had these 2 friends who got set up on a date, and they had never met each other. And so Matt said to each one of them, well, she's hard of hearing, so you have to speak up, but just don't make a big deal of it. And he told her, he's hard of hearing, so you kind of have to speak loud. So there they were in the restaurant screaming at each other, thinking the other one was deaf. And so it's like they're screaming at me, so I have to. They must be deaf, so they're yelling. So yeah, they screamed at each other for hours and hours until they realized that was total bullshit. And yeah, nice. Matt. Yeah, that's the one I would have told if I could have mixed it in. That's my favorite Matt story.
Being back at Ohayocon, especially with Emily running the con this year.
It's been 9 years of Ohayocon, which is, you know, when I was putting the roast together, I was like, wow, 9 years. So next year will be the 10th year, and then after that, they won't invite me anymore because seriously, I have the 10-year curse. The 9 to 10 year curse. I go to a con for 9 years and never get invited to the 10th, or I go to a con 10 years and then never get invited again. It's weird. So many things, so many cons have been this way.
That's really weird.
I don't know. Isn't that strange? So I'm like, okay, well, so whatever the case may be. Hopefully the curse won't hold. So next year, yeah, unless I'm dead, I will be here. But yeah, it's been, you know, it's awesome. Ohayocon is always enjoyable. It's great to see friends and all these folks and
so many people here. So busy.
Yes, is very busy, and that's awesome, you know.
A very good friend of mine, Mr. Cal Bear, not Herbert, Cal Bear.
Yeah, he got the last name right. Just like it, yeah.
So it's been about 2 years since the last time we saw you. It was here at MatsuriCon 2009. How have you been going?
Going great, man. As time goes on, I get invited to more and more cons, so it becomes kind of a whirlwind. You know, I'm doing so much traveling, especially this summer. I've gone somewhere every single weekend for like 3 months. So when someone says, hey, I met you at so-and-so, it's like literally like, I did? When? Where? And I'm terrible with names. I'm better with faces, though. So I remember you guys. But it has been a while. So yeah, I mean, I'm just trucking along, working on projects, mostly video games. Less and less anime, but Bleach and Naruto are the good standbys that are still going on as franchises, and we like that. We got more Dragon Ball Z games on the horizon, and just auditioning like crazy.
So back in 2010, you won the coveted JSAP award, beating out some very great talent, Steve Bloom and Samuel Jackson. What was that feeling like, knowing that you went up against some awesome voice talent and acting talent? What was it like?
Well, first of all, it's just an honor just to be nominated. Like, that cliche they always say at the Oscars, right? It's just an honor to be nominated. I've never been nominated for any sort of award, and I've been in this business, and I started on Dragon Ball Z in 2000. It's like this month, 11 years ago. August of 2000. So that alone was just mind-boggling to me. But it was voter-based, so I used Twitter and Facebook to kind of plea and beckon to the fans who have been so kind and gracious over the years. It's like, hey, if you like my stuff and you want to throw me some support, just go vote. And they had a page set up, and I guess I got the most votes. So hence I got the best English voice actor for the SPJA awards. Yeah, that was great. It also felt a little, I guess, what's the word? Vindication. I mean, I don't know. I got a lot of negative feedback, let's say, from Kamina. When it first started airing on Sci-Fi, the hardcore fans said, "Oh, it's not manly enough. It's terrible. Blah 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 blah." And then they watched a little bit more of it, and they said, "Oh, you're not so bad. Okay, actually, I kind of like you." And then whatever. I mean, don't hate on me. I'm just doing my job. They said don't make it sound like the Japanese. So a voice actor's job is to take direction. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, and it was a fantastic role. To get to play, and I'm honored that it got such notoriety.
All right, so and then you've been doing Bleach, like you said. So how do you take on the role of being Aizen? He's got to be this calculated, smooth, and very secretive on how he does his work. So how do you take on that role when you jump into the booth?
Basically, I just get into the moment. I get into the zone. That's what I do. And I get in the booth and I'm told bullet points about a character. He's cold, he's calculating, mysterious, and yet, very calm, soothing voice that can be construed as very friendly, but at the same time creepy. It's like, okay, in my mind, I go through, because I'm a big movie buff.
Yeah.
I go back to the friendly yet creepy computer voice Hal. In 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, he wasn't a literal being. He was a computer that basically shut off the life support system of astronauts. And it's like, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Da, 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 da. And that was kind of the basis for Aizen's voice.
That's cool. So one thing that's really neat about you is that you're one of the few voice actors to come from the radio side of the industry of doing anything behind the mic. How is that transition, going from radio to behind the glass, knowing, okay, I need to remember not to shout into the mic, that type of stuff. How did that work for you?
Well, certainly coming from radio gives you some good perspective on mic technique and respecting your placement to the mic. Also, it actually helped me in a very indirect way. It helped build confidence. I had grown up being too afraid to get on stage and memorize lines and do all that. And so my acting background was negligible. It only had been on radio that I actually got to do some creative stuff with Radio Disney, writing audio dramas, doing character voice. And so when I got to audition at Funimation, they said, "What acting experience do you have?" And I said, "Well, Radio Disney. I've been doing it for years." And I said, "Okay, that counts." It's like, that's good. But I mean, the same sort of beast where I'm talking into a mic, looking at a piece of paper, and it goes into the ether, and then you hear about it. In the case of radio, a phone call, the request line, that's your feedback. And in the case of anime, a DVD, a download, and then you get the feedback with Facebook, Twitter, and then certainly face-to-face at a convention, after the fact. And sometimes, if you work on enough projects, you'll be like, I'm on this? And then people will come up and throw a box cover or something, and I'll go, I'm in this? And it's like, yeah, you're the voice of so-and-so. It's like, thanks, I had no idea. It's like, I worked on it so long ago, I don't remember. But yeah, it's kind of freaky.
So at many cons you go to, you give a lot of fans the opportunity to actually test out their chops as voice actors. How did that idea come about?
Well, because it's just such a common question. How can I become a voice actor? And it's just another way to add a level of interaction for the fans who come and spend their hard-earned money and effort to come out to a convention, hang out with their friends, and have a good time. You know, it's just about adding value to someone's weekend, making a good impression. I'm all about, you know, shaking hands, hugs, taking pictures, signing stuff, and just hanging out in the lobby and just having a conversation. I'm all about that. But a chance to give people just a little snippet of what it's really like. And I'm certainly not the only voice actor who does acting workshops. There's many people. Some people take it to the next level, and they actually will bring recording equipment and record people, and they'll have actual video, and they'll do lip sync with that and record people's takes, play it back, and whatnot. I'm not that advanced. I just bring scripts, I show some video, and we do it real time and go from there. And then I do a video game voice acting thing, so we can focus on doing, you know, power up yells and whatnot. It's just, you know, helping empower the attendees and giving them just a little a more personal experience. And it's like, well, what is it like to be a voice actor? What sort of expectations are placed upon us?
Yeah, because I remember I did one with you, and I'm like, ow, it hurts.
Yeah. I take that for granted because I've been doing it for so long. But yeah, I mean, if I scream for 2 hours and my voice is shot, but I forget that for many fans, if I pick a volunteer out of the audience to come up in one of my workshops and they scream once or twice, that could hurt their voice. And I was like, oh, I forgot. You're not a trained actor. This is new to you. So, but yeah. I mean, again, it's just so they can see firsthand what it's really, really like.
Okay, and not only will you critique people at cons, but you also do it via private video consultations. What inspired your idea on that?
I wanted to reach out to people who couldn't come to conventions, and there's lots. there's hundreds, if not thousands, around the world that's like, I can't make it to a convention where you're doing an appearance, and you know, I want to be able to enjoy. I mean, tons of people will videotape the panels and whatnot and put it on YouTube, but to make it a little more personal, I thought, okay, let's use this great little invention called Skype. It's free, and you can be anywhere in the world to use it. So it's like, all right, so I'll give an opportunity for someone to basically buy an hour of a professional's time, someone in the industry who can share a professional opinion, and give some really personalized, focused feedback on an audition copy. You know, a person's ability to cold read, to perform, to take direction, to improvise. All of these key elements that are necessary for actors to be successful in their craft. So that's basically what that was born out of.
So now you live in Hollywood, and it seems like it's a really good place for a lot of people to work, especially at the Bang Zoom Entertainment Industries headquarters. How's it like having all that great talent? You know, you have Todd and Vic, and you have occasionally you get Steve and Crispin and all these great guys and all these great girls. You know, how is it like having all that fun energy there when you walk in the door?
Well, we don't get to record together, unfortunately. Like with games and anime, we have to record individually, but we see each other at conventions and certainly at auditions and in passing, and some of us, you know, will just talk to each other on Facebook or Twitter. And then, you know, some of us do hang out, and we'll go to a bar and just talk. But, you know, everyone's busy with their own schedules. Some have families. You know, I'm a single dad. I'm doing the dad thing. But yeah, I mean, what a phenomenal group of people, individuals, their talents just, you know, through the roof. And I'm honored to be in that talent pool and work in such a cool field with such cool people. It's great. It beats working for a living.
So between Skype, Twitter, Facebook, how is it just so easy to get a hold of you? I mean, most other voice actors is like really hard, and like you're like, yep, come on, I'll take them.
I put it out there. I've always taken a lot of pride in being interactive because I know how passionate I am about this field and loving what I do, that I love sending that message to others that have that sort of drive and passion and determination. And I want them to reach out. You know, if you have a question or if you just want to say, hi, thanks, you know, I loved your performance. You helped me get through a tough time in my life when I watched your performance in such and such. Or I played Street Fighter with my best friends and Ryu was a big part of this part of my life or whatever. I love it all. I love the feedback and everything. I've always just prided myself on being like probably the most interactive voice actor out there. Just to make a point that it's like, don't put me on a pedestal. I mean, I appreciate that. It's very flattering to get all the compliments and all that, but like, don't be starstruck. I'm just a regular person. I have bills to pay, and I'm a regular person. I poop and pee like anyone else. That's basically, not to get too crass, but I'm just a regular person with a really cool job, and I want to prove to people that, yeah, regular people get to do a job like this. I mean, it takes a long time, but it can pay off. There's no guarantees, of course. There's risks, and you never know where it'll take you. But as long as you give it a try, instead of wondering, what if? Don't have regrets in life. Whatever you want to follow, take steps towards making it happen,
Okay, and then is there any upcoming projects you can talk about? There's those pesky, no disclosures, but any that, may have slipped by just recently?
Gosh, I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. I do know that on G4 you can check Iron Man, the anime series. I voice Jensen, who is the character that helped Tony Stark when he first had his accident in the movie in the desert, and things blew up and he had shrapnel in his heart. Jensen actually helped him, and they created the first stealth suit. So they start with that, and then they take the character in a completely different direction on the anime. So check that out. Gosh, what else? If you picked up Hoodwinked 2, it's a very little scene, but it's still fairly decent. There's some pretty funny one-liners in there. The sequel to Hoodwinked, it's a CG animated movie. It just came out on DVD and Blu-ray, and I actually have one line in it. One line as Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's heard helping inspire Little Red Riding Hood.
All right. So how do people contact you via Twitter and Facebook? I mean, do you have any different names, or is it Kyle Hebert?
It's all me. Twitter.com/Kyle Hebert, spelled Hebert. Not Herbert, Hebert, but it's pronounced Hebert. So Twitter.com/Kyle Hebert, KyleHebert.com, Facebook.com/Kyle Hebert VO. Put the VO at the end. I can't accept friend invites for the personal profile because there's a limit as to how many people you can have. So instead, I direct people to just go to my fan page. I post to Twitter. That Twitter status update goes to Facebook, my personal page, and it goes to my fan page. So you're going to get the same content no matter where you go. And, of course, keep up with my latest projects online at my website, KyleHebert.com.
All right, thanks so much.
Tell us how you got into voice acting and anime in general.
Yes, thank you as well for interviewing me. I got into anime actually because I knew the wife. I had acted with the wife of a voice actor named Steve Kramer, who also directs. And so he met me, and there was a show being done at Bang Zoom Entertainment called Overman King Gainer. So and they said, "Oh, you sound like this guy who's not doing anime anymore. Your voice is kind of similar to him, so you should go audition." So they set up an audition, and I did not think I was going to get the part because I had no voiceover experience. And lo and behold, 2 months later, they called me, and I got the part. So that sort of started my voice acting career. And through that, at Bang Zoom, they got to know me, and then some other places got to know me, and video games and everything. So it's been great.
How did you like working on King Gainer? Did you ever do the monkey dance as a warm-up whenever you wanted to go into the studio?
I've actually made a fool of myself and done the monkey dance at cons. So, but yeah, I love that. I think it's a great piece of that show, and I really love doing that character Gainer Sanga because he had a lot of levels to him, and I think he had because in the beginning of the show, if you're not familiar with the show, he is involved in this exodus, but at first he's doesn't want to participate in it because he really doesn't understand what's really going on. And then as the show progresses, he really becomes an essential part of that exodus movement. So I love the show, so if you ever get a chance, watch it. Overman King Gainer. Tomino is the creator.
He is. Tomino's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's a fun one.
Yeah. It also says here on your bio that you were cast in Durara.
Yes.
What was it like working on that project?
Yeah, I loved working on that project because I know it's a very popular series, that it was very popular in Japan. Yeah. And that it was very highly rated and people just really loved it. So when I got the part, I was very excited because I know the guy who created Bakano, as well, was a part of that. And when I got the role, I was just extremely excited because you never know. I mean, but being able to also be in a great cast, like with people like Yuri Lowenthal and Crispin Freeman and Michelle Ruff, Johnny Young Bosch, Spike Spencer. I mean, so many people, Patrick Seitz. I mean, so many great voice actors are in this show. So it's also a pleasure just to be in that as well with them.
You've worked on several video games, most recently Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Can you tell us your experience on working with games?
Yeah, well, the latest one, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I play a Beautiful Joe, which was quite a surprise to a lot of people because I'm not the original voice. And I'm kind of known, I think, for playing characters that are a little more subdued. So I think they were maybe a little surprised with the energy that, being able to bring that to that character. I love doing it. It was a lot of fun because it was something so different for me. And I've seen some of it on YouTube, so it is kind of fun to see like my character, oh, it did work, somehow. Other video games have been like a Dynasty Warriors 6. I was Tai Si Chi, Warriors Orochi. I was also Shu in Blue Dragon Awakened Shadow, which maybe a lot of people don't know. So some of the Avalon Code, Valkyrie Profile, Covenant of the Plume, I got to have a little bit of a British accent, so that was kind of fun for that one.
In the many roles for Bang Zoom, which one has been your favorite to work on?
I mean, so many of them. I mean, definitely in Overman King Gainer and Do Ra Ra Ra, but also one where I didn't have a main part, but I had 2 episodes in Samurai Champloo. And the character was Sasuke Kawara, and in episodes 3 and 4. And I liked him because this little kid, he was a kid who had a lot of heart, and he hooks up with one of the samurais. I think it was Jin. As time passes, I forget. But he was great because he had just a lot of emotion, and he was a lot of chutzpah in this little kid, and also cried a lot. But but he was a great dramatic, role to do. So I enjoyed doing that part.
Yeah. On your IMDb, it also says you've done some live action work. What is that experience like, and how does it differ from doing anime voiceover work or doing video game voiceover work?
Well, I mean, one of the differences is, of course, when you're doing it live, of course, you have the costumes, so that does help with the characterization of things. And whereas in a booth, you're in a controlled environment. When you're not in a booth, you're a little bit more in an environment that you don't know what to expect, especially if you're outdoors or things like that. So you have to adjust to the set, whether it's indoors or outdoors. It takes a lot longer than doing, a voiceover job. Voiceover job will be in 2 hours. You could be on a set 8 to 14 hours when you're doing live action. Yeah.
All right. One role that really jumps out, for me especially being a Leiji Matsumoto fan, is Captain Harlock. Can you tell us what your experience was like being Harlock?
Well, yeah, I wish I was Harlock.
I mean, not Harlock, except being involved with Harlock.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no problem. I knew it was an anime that was very popular, but I only had a small part in it. I played a flagship officer or something. Flagship, I can't remember. And some monsters. Or some monster voices. And that was actually one where they were kind of just trying to see how I was. Before I had already gotten Overman King Gainer, but they put me in some smaller roles because I think they wanted to see how I would do before
Like a litmus test.
Right. So, and I was a flagship bridge officer or something like that, which was fun.
Yeah.
So.
Is there any way that fans can keep track of your work online?
I'm really like such a bad web guy. Yeah, I don't have no personal websites or anything for my work or let other people do. But I mean, they can always friend me on Facebook because I do post things in there about what I'm doing. Usually that's the best way to kind of keep up with me. Yeah.
Cool. Finally, are there any last words you want to send out to your fans?
No, I really so much appreciate all of you who love anime and who are so supportive of the work I do, in all the voice actors, all the directors, the sound engineers, because it's really a big group of us, the writers, the animators. It's incredible to be a part of something like that. So I really want to thank you, all of you who have given me positive feedback and have been encouraging. And when I meet you at cons, it's always great, because when we're in the booth, we don't know what's going on out there in terms of how you like what we do or anything. So it's always a big surprise, and it's always great to meet you at cons. So,
Right. Jiro Gilbo, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A pleasure. Thank you.